If you're new to Illustrator, then this clip is going to be a real eye-opener for you. Now, if on the other hand, Illustrator is a staple of your design workflow, well then get ready to literally change the way you view it. Now, you see, Adobe Illustrator has a lot of tools and features that allow you to create any kind of graphic you desire. However, accessing those tools and features, well, that can be a little bit cumbersome because there's just so many of them. Now, in this clip, I'm going to show you how you can tame the Adobe Illustrator interface and customize it for the way you like to work. So I have a document open. Now, this is the document I created in the previous clip, and this is my little starting point. Now, you do have to have a document open in order to access the full Illustrator interface here. And the way that the tools are laid out over here on the left and the way that the little icons are running down the right side of my screen over there, those are my panels. This is called a workspace. Okay, so the orientation of these two sets of icons and which ones are there, which ones are not there, and their position. All of that is considered the workspace. And if you wanted to change your workspace, maybe customize it or just simply switch to a different workspace, you'll do that from the menu bar. If I go up to the top here in the menu bar, over to the far right-hand side of the screen, I'm going to see this menu that says, in my case, Essentials. Now, yours may say something a little bit different, but it's the only menu over here on the far right-hand side of the menu bar. And if I click on that, I can see that I have other workspaces here. Now, the really cool thing about workspaces is that you can switch between them whenever you want, as often as you want, and it won't affect your artwork. All it's going to do is change which panels are open and where they're positioned on the screen. So let's just jump over to one of the other ones. So let's go to painting just to see what this is all about. So now you can see that I've got, instead of just a group of icons, I have some icons, but then I also have some panels that are fully opened. And that's pretty cool because now it allows me to access those panels very quickly. So let's jump back up here to the menu bar and let's choose another workspace. Now, Illustrator gives you several workspaces to start off with, but you can customize these workspaces. And there's one in here called Web. So let's start with the Web workspace, and then let's customize it. So now I've got my Web workspace, and just to make sure mine looks like yours, I'm going to go back up here to the Web workspace menu, and I'm going to choose Reset Web. All right. So now my web workspace should look very similar to yours, unless you have a different version of Illustrator. But this is it. I have some panels that are open here on the far right, and then I have some icons here just to the left of those. Now, one of those icons is already open, the Asset Export panel. And so that panel is open, and it's covering up part of my artboard here. So what I can do is I can either click on these two little arrows here, or I can go here into the icon bar and click on the icon for this panel to collapse it. Now, the rest of these panels over here, well, they're fully open, so there's no collapsing those into the icon mode, at least not directly here. So if I click on swatches, there it is. It doesn't really collapse it. It stays fully open, and that's just the mode that it's in. Now, the other thing that you can do here is move these panels around. So things like the swatches, maybe I don't want to have that swatches panel open all the time. You see, it's taking up a lot of screen real estate there on the right. What I can do is mouse over the name swatches, click and hold, and then tear it off. And so now I've got this floating panel, and I can position it, say here with the other icons. And what I want to look for is that the swatches panel that I'm dragging is gone transparent, and then there's a blue highlight underneath it. So you can see this little blue highlight. Depending on where I mouse, the blue highlight can be a vertical blue line, it can be a horizontal line, or it can be a little square like so. And depending on where that highlight is, well, that's where your swatches panel, in this case, is going to end up. So I like to have this a little bit closer to the top. So I'm going to just slide this up here, and I'm going to sandwich it in between these other two icons here. And so I get this little thin blue line. I release the swatches panel, and now I have a little swatch icon right there. If I want to do that again, let's say the color panel. Maybe I want to move that one up here. So I can click and hold, And I'm going to drag it right on top of that swatches icon. And now you can see that the icon is surrounded in this blue highlight. What this means is that these two panels are going to be grouped together. So if I open the swatches panel by clicking its icon, the color panel is right here grouped with it. And I can toggle between the two by simply clicking on their names. Now, if I want to close these panels, I can either, once again, click on this little icon here or click on the panel icon here. Now, there's going to be some of these panels that you probably just won't need. And, we want to simplify this interface, make it a little bit easier to work with. So the color themes in the color guide, maybe I'm not going to use those. So I want to close those. And I want to close both of them. I will right mouse click on either one of the color themes or color guide tab here. And by right mouse clicking on it, I get a contextual menu. And I'm going to choose Close Tab Group. So this will close all of the tabs in this group, which in this case was just those two panels. Next, I'll just continue to modify this workspace. And what I'm working towards is to simplify this right-hand side of my screen. I really only want maybe 2 or 3 panels open over here, and the rest of these panels I want as icons just to the left. So here you can see my completed workspace here. So what I've done is I've moved some panels around, closed some other ones, and what I'm left with are the Appearance panel, CSS Properties panel, my Layers panel, and my Artboards panel. Now, the reason I choose these particular panels is because those are the ones that I have found in my own workflow to be the ones I use most often. So these are my favorites. And in fact, the Appearance panel happens to be my absolute favorite because it gives me a lot of feedback about the object that I have selected. And the rest of these panels, I've pretty much just either closed them or converted them into these little icons. And so this is the workspace that I like to use when I'm developing for the web. So what I'll do is I'll go up here to the top. Now, I'm still using this web workspace from Adobe, but that's not completely true. The web workspace that Adobe sent was obviously completely different. So I need to save this as my own custom web preset. So I'm going to click the drop down here and I'm going to choose New Workspace. I'm going to give it a name. And then I'm going to click OK. Now, anytime I manipulate this workspace, or maybe I work on a different project and I have to change the workspace, I can always come back to this saved workspace here by selecting it from the menu here at the top, and then just choosing the workspace I want to work with. Now, if for some reason I'm working in my customized web workspace and I mess things up, let's say maybe I tear off some of these things, maybe I accidentally close some panels, who knows, whatever it is, my workspace just is all out of sorts now. I can always come back up here to the workspace menu, click the drop down, and choose to reset my custom workspace. So there you have it, a customized and simplified web workspace